Hey y'all, it's me Tony and I'm back with the new tea, and you guys already know what's going down based on the title. Miss Sweet Tea is not returning to Married to Medicine. She's definitely been let go, or otherwise her contract has not been renewed, and I'm about to give y'all the details on why and what happened. If you watched my older videos, then you already knew this was kind of going to be coming up soon. But like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any tea. Now let's get into it. So like I said, Sweet Tea is not returning to the show. She's been let go, or in other words, fired. But technically, Bravo doesn't really fire people exactly. They just suspend you, like how they suspended Kenya Moore, or they decide we're not going to renew your contract. And in Sweet Tea's case, she's just not getting renewed. They don't want to film with her next season. Does that mean she could come back in the future? Possibly, but for whatever reasons that I'm about to explain, they're deciding they don't want to film with her. So first things first, when Sweet Tea initially came onto the show, she signed a 2-year deal similar to Phaedra Parks, okay? So in their contract with Bravo, they were going to be on the show with signing up for 2 seasons ahead. This was a clever move on her end. I'm pretty sure Phaedra or someone told her and Gregory to take that deal. That way they can have like a kind of like a higher possibility of staying on the show. But in these 2 seasons, Sweet Tea didn't give what she was brought on to give. She was brought on to go back and forth with Quad, but her first season, she didn't go back and forth with Quad. Matter of fact, Quad wasn't even really filming that much to even be around Sweet Tea. So that failed, okay? And by the time the reunion hit, that first reunion with her and Quad together, Sweet Tea was trying to bring the smoke for Quad, but it was just so irrelevant due to the bigger picture that was going on and the biggest topic, which was the ladies icing out Quad. So Sweet Tea's first season, for what she was brought on to do, it was just a flop. So now that we got Sweet Tea's first season out of the way, here's a major reason why Sweet Tea is not being brought back. This girl has literally blamed Bravo for her filming with Quad. She said verbatimly on Instagram, and I'm going to try to insert it in here so you guys can see it. Sweet Tea said that Bravo is playing a dangerous game by having her film with Quad, okay? She basically is insinuating that Bravo is liable for whatever actions are about to go down with her and Quad filming. Mind you, when she signed up, she knew Quad was on the show. So if you think that Bravo is going to take a threat like that and just let it slide, you're not thinking. And Sweet Tea wanted to come back on the show. I knew she wanted to come back because I saw her in the comments saying that she wasn't going to leave. She's not going to let these ladies kick her off and this and that, blah, blah, blah. You kicked yourself off. Sweet Tea put her foot in her mouth, guys. Bravo saw that comment that she made, and that was done. But to make it even worse, she had more things against her that was making it even easier to get rid of her, okay? For one, her being hostile with the other ladies in a lot of scenes that were not shown. I know you guys, some of you guys are Sweet Tea fans or you feel bad for her or whatever, but I'm going to say allegedly, even though I have heard from a few people that were actually there present in the whole show being produced and whatnot, Sweet Tea was definitely aggressive with those ladies on the show. Whether she meant to on purpose or accident, whether it was ladies trying to hold her back from, getting physical with one lady, she would get physical with the ladies that were even holding her back. I'm going to say this. Sweet Tea was allegedly getting aggressive with all of the ladies on the cast except for Phaedra. But even with Phaedra, we did see a small clip where Phaedra was trying to, calm her down. And you could tell Phaedra was like a little startled when T had like kind of spun off of her arm or whatever. And, but she wasn't trying to hurt Phaedra. But you could tell even Phaedra was like, ooh, like, Sweet Tea had a bad habit of becoming aggressive to the ladies to the point where Toya, it wasn't shown, but Toya allegedly told Sweet Tea, if you hit me again or if you grab my arm, we're gonna fight. And y'all know Toya does not play. Okay? So the ladies were not comfortable with Sweet Tea. None of them. Not to mention, the ladies didn't like Sweet Tea anymore not because of what you guys saw on TV. You guys don't have any idea. Sweet Tea was on her YouTube channel, on comments and doing interviews, and she was talking about all of the women except Phaedra and Dr. Contessa. She was talking about Jackie and Jackie's mistakes with the whole comment she made about black women and, her not being, she shouldn't be invited to the White House. And, Sweet Tea was hitting lows about everyone. So when it came to Bravo not really wanting to film with her no more, they had every single reason to get rid of Sweet Tea, okay? Every reason. These ladies don't want to film with you. They think you're aggressive. They're not going to back you up. You've been talking about all of them off camera, and they know that you've been talking about them. And one thing about the Married to Medicine ladies, they're very catty. They can be very immature, very nasty, very mean girl-like. But they're not going to let someone that is brand new, not even in the group like that, come around and pretty much drag all of them verbally. It's just not going to happen. Also, lastly, Sweet Tea's husband definitely plays a factor in her not returning. A small factor because Sweet Tea was already done after that comment she made about Bravo playing a dangerous game. But with Dr. Gregory coming back on TV and it being 2025, and we all know how the world is very aware and I don't want to say sensitive, but definitely no one is asleep anymore when it comes to abuse. Gregory came back on this show after we had already watched him and Quad admit that they had physical abuse in their marriage. Now, Gregory is back and he's showing abusive tendencies. And Quad is mentioning how she had to relive her trauma. And that's just not even a good look for a company to have a person with this type of personality back on a show with his ex-wife who had to endure trauma, and they admit it on TV together. So with him also mistreating Sweet Tea on TV and what we saw looked like emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and who knows what would have happened if those cameras weren't around. Plus, Sweet Tea has been on her YouTube and she's admit that she's even gotten physical with Gregory before. I don't know if he's hit her back, but she has admit on her YouTube that she's hit him before or gone upside his head, in her words. So Bravo doesn't want that on their screens. They don't want those type of problems. Not saying that Bravo is like, oh, we're just angels around here and this and that. I'm not saying that at all. But the world has become a lot more aware when it becomes, man on woman abuse and all that. You just can't be on the show with those type of things going on. But anywho, Sweet Tea has decided to make her own Married to Medicine group. Instead, she's calling it the Doctor Wives of Atlanta. I guess she has some friends and, they're going to be making a YouTube channel together. So she's been promoting that. I can see that also looking pretty bad with Bravo. The fact that she's like, constantly out on the limb, like trying to do interviews or get together with other physicians in Atlanta that are black. And now she's getting together with Dr. Wise. It's like you're trying to basically create your own pilot for your own show. And that would be fine if, it wasn't already a thing. Married to Medicine is already a show in Atlanta featuring black physicians and black doctor wives. So now, because you've been rejected from Married to Medicine, you're deciding to kind of pitch your own YouTube series with the Doctor Wives of Atlanta in your group. And maybe you're hoping that you can pick up this show on a network, but it's just not going to work. The only person who created this idea was Mariah Huq. And I think that Sweet Tea is a bit shady for this. I'm not going to lie. Mariah Huq, from what I understand, has been very nice to Sweet Tea. And she's, given her a lot of advice and whatnot. So for you to kind of slight bravo to an extent as well. It's just kind of crazy to me. Like, they gave you an opportunity, it didn't work out, just move on. There's no need for you to remix and try to create your own show and act like that show is going to be so much better than Married to Medicine that gave you a platform and a chance. It just did not work out for you. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are y'all going to be watching Sweet Tea's YouTube show, Dr. Wise of Atlanta? Do you think that any networks are going to pick it up? Do you guys think Mariah Huck is going to be offended? Because remember, this is Mariah's idea. Mariah is an executive producer for Married to Medicine. It was her idea. She pitched it to Bravo. She still gets a check to this day for Married to Medicine. So when you guys are watching Married to Medicine, you're also supporting Mariah Huck. So do you think Mariah's going to be offended about Sweet Tea doing this? Because I'm not going to lie, I think I would be. Don't, you didn't make it on this show. It is what it is. Don't try and, tell people, oh, come watch us instead. We're better. Don't be silly. And Sweet Tea is also using Married to Medicine hashtags to promote her own Dr. Wife show. I find that also shady. But y'all get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.